What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Behind the Vocals, episode 2. This week, we are featuring the one and only Nick Cross of Divisive. It is an absolutely amazing episode, full of tips and tricks. We learn about his vocal routines, his warm-ups. We learn about vocal care, how he goes about songwriting and lyrics. Super awesome episode. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome back to episode 2 of Behind the Vocals, featuring the one and only Mr. Nick Cross of Divisive. We're excited to talk about it, all things vocals, all things metal and heaviness, and get a little peel behind the curtain to see what he's about and see his inspirations and how he came to be the monster that he is today. So, without further ado, let's welcome back the one and only Mr. Nick Cross. How are you doing, sir? Welcome in.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing good, man. Appreciate you taking time to come hang out with us and chat all things vocals.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about this. I feel like there's not a lot of stuff. I get a lot of questions asking about vocals and just different things because there's a lot of just uncertainty and people just don't understand how you can go sound like a monster in a microphone essentially, you know, for days at a time and hours and stuff like that. And so I feel like there's a lot of interest, but not, I mean, now there's more information, but not really a lot of conversations about how vocalists approach things and what they do and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to be doing this, and I'm super honored and excited to have you on here.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. All right. So what I like to do first off, I have to say, is it true? I read somewhere that you have the best hair in Nashville metal bands. You were voted best hair. Is this true? Is this accurate?
I don't know. It's the first I've heard of it.
I mean,
I'll take it.
I read it somewhere that it was voted 2024 best metal hair. I mean,
I feel like TJ signed me up for that one, but I
mean that wouldn't be. No, that's totally not a TJ thing, surely. No, but in all seriousness, how long have you been doing vocals?
Ooh, so I've probably been doing vocals since I was like 18. I'm 32 now.
Nice.
So
got some years.
Got some years. So about what, 14, 15 years almost now.
Nice.
Something like that.
Hell yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So did you play any other instruments before you got into vocals? Or did you just go straight into vocals?
So vocals was like the last thing that I did.
Oh.
I started off playing guitar, played bass, and then ended up playing drums. Oh. And I was also in marching band as well, doing a clarinet, bass clarinet, and tenor sax in like the jazz band. So like, yeah, vocals was like the last thing I touched.
Oh, damn. Okay, so multi-talented. Very nice. Do you feel it helped you any with vocals, playing all those other instruments?
I think so, because it's allowed me to understand the perspective of different instruments. So that way I could say, oh, okay, well, if the drums are doing this or the guitars are doing this, I can either just nail into a part or I can just kick back and let the instruments do their thing.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of like knowing when to start, when to stop kind of situation with vocal approach.
Yeah. Okay. Hell yeah. That's awesome, though. I feel like a lot of people do learn instruments first. That's why I like to ask that. They play something else and then it kind of transforms into vocals and stuff like that, and it helps them in the long run, truthfully. So how did you learn how to do vocals?
Yeah, I agree.
What did you do to learn, or how did you learn?
So the funny thing was the way that like getting into vocals, I had a bunch of friends, they had kicked out their vocalists, they had some stuff going on, and they just said, hey, we've heard you like, you know, try to do like vocals. It's like, come just do vocals for us. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And they're like, well, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to come pick you up and you're going to like record this song. So like I was kind of like pushed into it by a bunch of friends. And I was like, okay, what are the lyrics? It's like, yeah, we already had this written out by our drummer. You just got to make it flow. So it was like, you know, back up against the wall and just going for it.
Yeah.
And since then, it's just been going from there. My friends forced me to do something, and I'm kind of grateful for that.
Nice. Hell yeah. So how was it early on, though? Did you have trouble, like, especially like no real like warm up to it? You were just kind of thrown into it. Was it difficult at all, or
it was
trial and error, learning?
It was probably more it was more more discouraging because I had felt kind of naked because I wasn't holding an instrument.
Yeah.
And you also get to realize what you actually sound like in a recording, as opposed to just being around a bunch of noise and you trying to like fill in with the noise with everybody. So it's like I would listen to it and I'd be like, ooh, that kind of sucks.
It's a wake
And
up
it was
for
just like
sure.
a thing like,
The recordings don't
yeah,
lie,
so I was
especially the
like,
raw recordings. You're like, oh, okay, yikes.
oh yeah, so I was like, this is terrible. They're like, oh, like, we'll keep going. We'll just keep going. Like, it'll get better. And it was more of just like, all right, everybody else is good with what they're doing. I have to get good now,
Yeah.
basically, to keep up with my friends.
Oh yeah. So did you make any? What are some early mistakes you made when starting to do vocals?
Ooh, early mistakes. Uh, Trying to push as hard as I can and mistaking that for emotion.
Yeah.
Because it was a point where I've probably only blown out my voice maybe once or twice, never again.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I need to find a way where I can project enough volume without throwing it out there, because when I threw my voice up, you didn't hear me talk for about 48 hours. Like, I was just done, and I was like, I gotta find a way to I gotta find a way to make this work, because what I'm doing has me shot and I can't do anything about it anymore.
Yeah. It's very easy to do, especially starting off. Just you want to be as loud as possible, and like you said, the emotion, you get into it, and you're pissed off or whatever, and you're really trying to like go hard in it, and it can just screw everything up if you're not doing it right. And you can just,
Oh yeah, it was a wake up call.
oh yeah, definitely. Was there ever an aha moment, kind of when you were starting, like it all started to click, like, oh, this is how I need to do this, or this is how I should approach this, like as far as screaming and everything?
I want to say probably by year two, it really started to click with the way I was doing vocals one time, and I just felt it go, like, the air going through, and then I could feel it right in my cheeks, and I was like, okay, well, that feels kind of good. But I was like, there's no pressure, like I'm not feeling any hurt. And I'm like, okay, this is the spot that I need to like make muscle memory for, so I can just go at all these shows. And from that moment moving forward, I was like, I need to remember that feeling, so that way I know that I'm on the right track.
Yeah, like almost like a vibrating kind of in your cheekbones, like.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a little warm too. I was like, okay, perfect. So if
Nice.
I'm sweating, I'm like, I'm in the right spot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So do you have, speaking of show stuff, do you have like a routine you do before you do vocals, and does it change based on like if you're doing like a one-off show, or if you're doing tour or studio or practice, or even if you're under the weather, like do you have something set in place that you do before all of that?
I do. So for every different scenario, most of the time at shows, I have what I call like a little sneaky warm up. Half of the time, it's
Yeah.
just me humming to help kind of clear everything up, because the music is loud. I can still be present with everybody, loading up gear at the merch table. So it's like, all right, guys, let's go on stage. The minute that I walk away from the merch table, I'm humming, because, like I said, no one's gonna hear me warming up, or no one's gonna be looking around like, well, what the fuck is this guy doing over here? I'm just humming in my head. Everyone's setting up, and I'm just going ahead and getting that cleared up. Now, if I'm under the weather, like on tour, I've definitely been congested numerous times. I always make sure to have a little bit of like vitamin C, vitamin D,
Yeah.
try and get some good rest in between, so that way that I can kind of stay healthy with that. As for studio, on the drive up to the studio, before my CD got crushed when my car got totaled, I had the Zen of Screaming. There's a variable of exercises that do like big mouth, little mouth, and just saying like
The most embarrassing exercises ever if anybody watches you do them, but they're very helpful. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's how I learned, was Zen Screaming, actually.
Yeah, and then there's another one that I did recently for an online project that we haven't announced yet. I can't remember the guy's name on YouTube. It's like Chris Liepe or something like that. It's a bald guy.
Charismatic voice, right? Is that it?
I think that's the guy. He had this one exercise that I decided to try for this metalcore project, and he just said, just basically just yodel and kind of let your voice, like, hit the tip, and then just let it just wiggle and go. Like, you just yodel and just let your voice just wiggle around, so you can unlock all these different parts. And I'll stand by that, because that day that I went to the studio for all the harsh vocals, I tracked 5 songs in 8 hours. So I thought like it had me just going smooth all day for the studio.
How'd you feel afterwards?
Yeah.
That's a rough day. That's 5 tracks, 8 hours you're getting it.
Yo, yeah. I was like, I was still pretty good after that. Actually,
Nice.
I was still pretty good.
So you said
It's
harsh
like there,
vocals. Does that mean there's some clean vocals in there too? You singing for us?
yeah, actually, there
Oh,
is some
okay.
singing. I had to go sing on a separate day because I was telling myself, you know what, should probably come fresh to knock these out. 'Cause it was like my first time actually like recording,
Yeah.
singing and stuff like that. So yeah, but
Dude.
I stand by that whole yodeling thing. That's a great exercise to get going before you hit the studio.
Oh, that's awesome. Super awesome. So how is it going from have you had to do like harsh to clean live or anything yet? Like have you done that like in a practice space or anything? Because I
I
imagine
have
that
not.
that's got to be rough and almost I don't know a whole different kind of preparation probably, right? Because I mean,
Yeah, because like it's definitely like since it's metalcore as opposed to deathcore, it's like the range is going to be a little bit higher.
yeah,
But also, I'm just
more
trying
of
to
like
make
a
sure. All
mid-ish,
right.
like a mid range. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. So more of like a mid range type of deal. But where I'm at, I'm like, if we were to ever play this live, how would I be able to make sure that I get just enough of the tanger in the voice for that, and then be able to swap over to hit the melodies right afterwards? Because they're pretty close to each other in
yeah.
those songs. Those will come out
How long have you
eventually.
been doing clean vocals? Is it something new you've just added to your arsenal, or have you been doing cleans before?
I've always tinkered around with them. Like
Okay.
I know a couple of like comfortable melodies, and once again, like going back to playing another instrument,
Yeah.
you know, guitar, like simple guitar harmonies. I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll just do that for a vocal harmony and just kind of go off of that.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think the first time that I actually like what made me say I think I'll try this more was did a cover with Phoenix Studios of Dead Memory by Fit for a King.
Oh.
So I got to sing on that, and then I actually got to sit down and say, okay, in a studio setting, what does a chorus with clean singing actually look like? You know,
Yeah.
layers, harmonies, the whole 9 yards of that.
Interesting. Nice. So what's the chances of you throwing everybody a curveball and divisive and clean? Like I can't even imagine
I'm
how that would work with how heavy you guys are. That would throw
yeah,
people for such a loop. Just heavy breakdown, then you start singing to them.
it's like I don't know if I would ever commit to like full time clean singing,
Yeah.
but like it's like if it ever came down to like if we wrote something just weird and experimental,
Yeah.
maybe. I'm not
Yeah.
guaranteeing it to anybody listening.
How listening to like you guys' discography and like everything you have, I just don't know how. Like it would be so weird and so different for you guys. I don't know how
Right.
you would like
Like
incorporate unless it was something super heavy and
I
experimental for sure.
right, like if it was just like it's just a weird oddball track, like maybe something along the lines of like Corey Taylor, like
Yeah.
weird experimental, like how Slipknot
Yeah.
does, where he's just kind of just feeling dreadful, sounding dreadful in a track. Something along those lines, I would probably say is the closest I would ever imply into Divisive. But I do want to keep Divisive, like just a good punch every time
Nice.
at
Yeah,
the end of
dude,
the
you
day.
guys hit right in the throat. All your songs are so heavy. We've been bumping them a lot lately. You brought up a cover. I wanted to ask about one. I was doing a little digging on you. I was
Yeah.
trying to find some stuff, and I
Okay.
saw back in the day you did a little collab cover with Sam Snyder. Uh,
Yeah.
it was that stick, right? Am I saying it? Am I saying it
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I
That
saw that
I
and I
remember
was
that
like,
one.
"What is this?" And I had to listen. I was like, "Oh my god, these dudes are wild." That
Yeah, I
was
remember that one.
it wasn't 2020, right? It was. Is it been longer than that? Is it 2018, 2019 when you guys did that?
It
Or
may have, yeah, I want to say it was somewhere around 2019.
dude,
Yeah,
how
it
was
had to have
that?
been. Yeah, yeah.
How was? Have you known Sam for a long time? Because I've known Sam for quite a while, way back in the
When I
day.
moved when I moved here in 2017, I met him somewhere around that time frame because I know that in my old band, we had Josh Neal and Josh Cope playing drums and bass for my old band, which was called Exalted.
Yeah,
So it's like with all that group of people, that's how I met Sam. So that's how that came to be with doing a couple of covers,
and you did a
collabs.
feature right on his one of his bands, I think, right? Um,
Yeah, with actually twice on Abyss
oh,
Walker. Yeah, so like I know that my buddy Adam Conran. Shout out to Dissonation. If you guys have not heard that band, one of the best new bands to come out of Nashville, mixing up proggy and deathcore styles. he plays in Abyss Walker, and he was like, "Hey, I want you on this track.
That's
Like,
sick.
I hear you on it. I see you on it. Like, you want to make that happen?" And I was like, "Adam, of course. We've been homies since like day one. I would love to jump on that track."
Yeah.
So like everything you hear from the delivery to the approach has been like the mastermind of Adam.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
he made me sound good on that Abyss Walker track.
Hell yeah.
Like,
You
he
brought
gets
up
the kudos.
Nashville bands. I've been out of the Nashville scene for a while now. Me and TJ both. So, how is the Nashville scene now? I know it's changed drastically because back when we were doing shows, it was like Muse, Rocketown, the Inn,
Right.
stuff like that were pretty much your venues. Now, I don't even know if Rocketown really does shows. I know the Muse is now a Domino's, and
Yep.
it's changed drastically. How are the bands? How's the local scene up there now?
Local scene, it's still cool. Like, it still has a lot to offer. I would say that there's more like hardcore punk scene and stuff like that still thriving. There are some like deathcore, but now I would say that deathcore is more of like the surrounding areas, like, you know, between Chattanooga and Knoxville.
Okay.
But like, it's still growing. You know, people still show up to shows, so it's still cool. I know that you had mentioned Rocketown. Yeah, I don't think Rocketown really does shows
I
anymore.
haven't seen a show
The last
there
place
in
that
forever. Like I don't even know when the last time I saw like
Yeah.
a good show come through, or any show really, like metal wise.
Right. Yeah, I want to say the last show that I saw at Rocketown was probably like 2019, maybe 20. No,
They
2019
shut
for
down
sure.
before the pandemic, pretty much with shows. As far
Yeah. So like right around that time period, and really the End is about the only place that I really know that is still like actively doing shows and stuff like
Okay.
that, or where people like out of town will be like, "Hey, it's like, you know, a spot." Like, the End is the spot.
Okay, so the End is pretty much the only place now. You guys play there pretty often at all, or do you hop on any like tour packages or anything?
We spread it out.
Spread it out.
So like, you know, whenever there is a show, we're like, okay, I think this will be a good fit for us. You know, contact about it. But we like to play every couple of months, just so like, you know, it's not just like an every weekend type of
not
thing.
to wear people out and like kind of burn them out of you and stuff like that. To space it.
Exactly.
You guys played not last weekend, but the weekend before, right? You took a little drive. I think you played. Did you play with Waste then? Did you go up to?
It was their CD release show. Because Christian from Waste is also our manager, and he was like, "Hey, it's like I think you guys would do great out here. It's like I know it's a bit of a drive. It's like if anything, we'll try and see if we can link up a show throughout the weekend." So he also helped us with getting that Wisconsin show as well. So that was really fun. We got to meet all the bands in the area as well. Shout out to Surefire and Dead Awake as well, two super dope bands that we played with in Wisconsin. There's a couple of bands on that Way show that were great too. Still Sayer. If anyone likes Invent Animate, that band is right up your alley.
Oh, really? Check them out.
Oh yeah, they're really cool. And also let's see, there was Neckrung. They played both of the shows with us. Really cool deathcore, super young dudes, so they've got like a full future ahead of them. Like they fucking kill it. I would love to play more shows with them. Yeah, man, those 2 days that we played those shows were awesome.
So
I've never been to Minnesota or Wisconsin.
In our live chat, how is Steel Slayer?
Still Slayer, they're
good.
That band's good. They're really good.
Nice.
There was Our Common Collapse. Like if you like fall stuff, like Humanity, that band's also super sick.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I was just at the merch table just watching these bands. And I'm like, yeah, these bands sound ridiculous live. Like just, man. Yeah, it was a great weekend. It was a great weekend.
Dude, it sounds awesome. Making me miss shows. All right, so back to the vocals. Do you do anything for vocal care?
Vocal care, honestly, just making sure that you get a good night's sleep, get you a little honey and some lemon, and that's really my vocal care, and not, you know, talking or getting drunk and just like yelling out the window at people or anything like that. You know, throwing your voice out.
So you're usually pretty quiet after your set, or do you kind of like chill out after your set, or are you hanging out still chatting? And because I know it depends on the vocalist. Some will chat and hang out, and then I know that if you overdo it, sometimes you go out there and you're, you know, hanging out with all the dudes and you're all having fun and you're yelling and stuff because the music's loud. That definitely can hurt you. But I mean, how do you usually approach that, like after shows and stuff? Do you do anything special or just? You just kind of good to go, or what?
So after we play, I typically go straight to the merch table to hold it down, depending if we have a merch guy or not. So either way, I'm still over there. So I'm still talking to people. I just kind of lean in a little bit closer to hear what people are saying. And then also, since I'm closer to them, I talk in a lower, I'm not like shouting over the music. I just got to remember to like, keep it room volume. Don't talk too loud. So that way, like, so I'm not just shouting and throwing out my voice or anything like that. But in the van, it's like fair conversation.
Yeah.
But if I know like the conversation may drag throughout the night, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go lay down real quick. Maybe take a quick nap, wake up, co-pilot with whoever's driving.
Do you mix anything with your honey and lemon or anything? Do you have like tea or anything you drink, or do you just special concoctions or anything?
It's really, I just, honey, lemon juice, and then maybe some water behind it.
Okay. Little shots of each, and you're good to go. Rest is big.
Yeah.
Getting good night's sleep is really big. Nice. All right, so shifting a little bit, where do you pull from your lyrics? When you're going to tackle a song, write a new song, do you tend to pull from like real life things, emotional things? Do you go for themes? Do you look at like different topics like that? Like where do you usually draw from?
Okay, so this one's a really cool question because I do pull from life experiences, and also sometimes I pull from other people's perspective.
Yeah.
So like, for example, if there's something that I haven't like experienced, if I see how someone else is going through it, like that, I can go off of that too. Or I like what if scenarios for stories that sometimes I'll write, because you always hear about, like a good ending, happy's all, but I was like, what if a scenario was like this? Kind of like finding what the gray area is, so everything's not so black and white with lyrics, because that's where I kind of sit with that. I kind of pull from all of those things and try to get people to think a little bit different than what's, accustomed to how some people may write lyrics sometimes.
Absolutely. And it definitely helps, like you said, pulling from the emotional when you do that, like something that happens in your life. It definitely adds a little extra sometimes, especially with something that you've went through like that, almost, I guess, therapeutic, screaming it out, talking about things. One thing I love about metal lyrics in particular, and I've talked about this before, but it's definitely open interpretation. Like, they're not as predefined as certain genres. Like, you may write about this in your life, and then I may interpret it a certain way that I apply to my life. It means more. And I always thought that was really cool, and I always loved that aspect of it.
Right. I definitely agree with that.
So, do you have a favorite, like, lyricist or somebody you look up to that writes lyrics? Is there someone kind of like, almost like a role model-ish, so you're like, damn, this person's awesome. I love what they do. I love how they tackle it and address things.
Oh man, that one tends to fluctuate.
Yeah.
Because like, it's like, I'm not from Tennessee, so I feel like I could say this without sounding like silly. It's like, but for a while growing up, like vocally and stuff like that, and the lyrical concept, it's like I was way too hooked on "This Is Exile" by Whitechapel.
Oh,
like,
such a great album.
The lyrics on that album, front to back, lyrically, it fits with the riffs. And then like other days, like, I'm also really about how Sam Carter from Architects and the All Gods Have Abandoned Us record. Like, I love the lyrics on that, the way it tells a story. It pretty much tells a story about their guitarist, like, to his last breath.
It's beautiful. Like, it's really well done. Yeah. That's awesome. That's polar opposites, too. I love it. You got, like, Phil, who is just dark and brutal. Like, dude is insane. Right. And then Sam, I mean, that album is awesome. Hell yeah. Right. That's really cool. Do you have a favorite lyric? It can be your own. It can be from one of them, like some band you've listened to.
So one lyric that has been like just popping up back in my head again after all these years is it's the one clean spot in Answer the Sky by Between the Buried and Me. The one lyric where it says, sleep on, fly on, in your mind, you can fly. Just the way that kicks in, the build up to it, the way it sounds. I don't know. I just keep coming back to that over the years. I'm like, oh, here we go again.
You big Between the Buried and Me fan?
I'm a pretty fair fan. I mean, I did live in North Carolina, so I can't say that, without sounding biased. They do write some really cool and interesting stuff.
Favorite
And then they're just
album
like,
by him? Do you have a favorite?
hmm.
I have to. For me personally, I feel
Man.
like Colors. I listen to Colors so much. It was just front to back constantly for right after it came out. I couldn't stop. I loved it.
Right. It's like there is that. But it's probably going to be between Colors because you can throw that on like
Yeah,
whether
it's
you're
such a
cleaning
crazy
or
album.
whatever.
There's some weird
Right.
parts in that album. I love
But
it.
I will say the first introduction that just showed me that chaos just all over the place, probably the Silent Circus. It's between Colors and the Silent Circus.
Nice. Very nice. So I'm hearing
Yeah.
Chad apparently is chiming in. TJ, he is telling me
Oh,
that you
yeah.
pull all your lyrics from the Cell Saga to the end of the Boo Saga, also a future Trunks movie. So are you a big Dragon Ball Z fan?
Yeah, I'm a pretty big Dragon Ball Z fan.
Do you have a favorite character? I need to know this because this is something that I argue with him about all the time.
Look. Let me tell you something.
Oh, God.
Favorite character, even though they massacred my boy in the Boo Saga, is Gohan. Gohan is he's the only one.
They shit on Gohan
really
after Cell on. Like he got until this most recent movie, he kind of got shafted. They really did him dirty.
They massacred because that was the thing when after the Cell Saga, it was supposed to be Gohan taking over. Goku was supposed to stay dead for a good while, but they were just like, nah, fans aren't gonna like that. We got to make Goku come back, and we're just gonna traumatize Gohan with the Ginyu Force of Saiyan Man. I'm like, oh man,
Did him dirty.
oh. Right,
He's like. So I'm glad you didn't say Vegeta because it would have made his ego bigger. Because we argue about Vegeta all the time just to make him mad. He's saying your favorite lyric should have been "Without me, you hold no power." Also, you pathetic son of a bitch. So that was his opinion on what your favorite lyric should have been. Apparently, leave it to TJ.
Yeah, the man's quoting the Umbra lyrics. A couple of people have sang that back at a couple of shows. So
how does that feel as a vocalist? Something you've wrote on paper and you've created for the fans to like it to be sung back to you or chanted back like live. It's an amazing feeling, right? Like just to have it yelled back at you.
Because I don't know who actually knows the words or if they're just there just like kick someone in the back of the head sometimes. So like when I actually hear someone shouting it back, I'm like, you're a real one.
It's almost like vocalist porn. That happens just like, oh, okay.
Right. And if I see them at the merch table, I'll be like, I saw you. I saw what you did there.
Very nice. Okay, so since we talked about your favorite lyrics, do you have any tips for songwriters as far as lyrics, patterns, flow, so forth like that? If someone new is trying or just songwriters in general, is there anything you can recommend to them or any kind of tips, anything like that?
Okay. One thing I do want to say is that you can have a takeaway from any genre. So like it could be hip hop, country, synthwave. There's something that you can pull in from those influences to write cadences, flows, lyrics, for example. Because I feel like there's a certain expectation that comes with writing deathcore. It's like you got to do this, this, and this. Where I kind of believe the opposite. It's like just make it mean, hissed, and listen to other genres. Listen to other genres because what you may take away from those different genres may add that nice little twist that everyone might be looking for in the genre of deathcore, for example.
Because you don't want to
don't be afraid to
if you listen to only deathcore, you don't want to be like overly inspired by what others are doing. Like you said, you're pulling other inspirations where maybe you can make that new, fresh something that gives it a little more life or spice.
Right. And I would just say like there's no wrong way to write lyrics. Like if there's a topic that you want to talk about, I say go for it. Because like I said, like that expectation that people think, well, you got to write about this or you got to write about that. It's like, nope, we're gonna make this a little bit more refreshing. It's like we're gonna write, topic A, and then this song we're gonna write about topic F. We're just gonna have at it.
Nice.
But just get out there and do it. Like you'll figure out what works best for you, and also the people that you're playing with. Just get out there and do it, man. Like there's no other way. Just get out there, rip it, have fun with your friends, and just have a good time.
Hell yeah. So do you have a favorite song or part to perform vocally live or in general? So we all know we have our favorite parts and our other parts that are like, this part kind of, I hate doing this part. It sucks live. Like it's rough. And then there's the parts you're like, oh, I can't wait. This is always so much fun.
For me, probably Legion, just because it's been earlier on in our set. So everybody has plenty of energy no matter what night it is that we play it. And I would also say that like that's probably the song that Columbus helps me get hyped because I can hear him yelling louder than me without a microphone. So just like feeding off of everybody's energy. But yeah, I just think that that's just kind of how it is. Like just that song in general is always the most fun to play live.
Is that your closer? Do you close with that one, or where's that in the set?
If we're playing EXO, that's how we start our set. So it's pretty much like the first song that kicks off. We finish with Blackout majority of the time. Okay. Blackout's mainly the one. But another one that's also pretty hype is probably the first half of Zero or the ending of Zero. Me trying to do Kyle's part from Brand of Sacrifice that he featured on that song.
Nice.
Just trying to challenge myself to just do that guest spot since he does things entirely different from how I do them.
So speaking of favorite parts, do you have a favorite call out? Do you do many call outs at all for live shows?
Aside from the one that's recorded in Umbra, I don't know why I don't even know why I said it, but it just became a thing that I would look out in the crowd and one day I just said, "Hey, yo, in that pit, who's got the biggest dick?" And somebody just lights their eyes up. They're like, "That's me. I'm Captain Big Dick." And they just fucking lose their mind. Or somebody in the front, someone in the front's just like, "Yo, he really said that shit." Or like, someone's laughing. It's a mixed review, and I love it just because nobody sees it coming.
I love it. Just especially like heavy as shit bands that just say something off the wall that people aren't ready for. It's the best.
Right.
What was it? Body Snatcher. They yelled something about like there's no more guac at Chipotle or something like that right before a breakdown, and people were just like, what the shit? Just going nuts. It's fantastic. I love stuff like that. All right, so do you have any pre-show or studio rituals? So I know, like, for example, a lot of athletes and stuff before they play or go or do anything, a lot of them are like really superstitious and they'll do things. Do you do anything like that at all, or are you just ready to go? Let's do our little warm up and we're ready.
So I stick to like the Zen of Screaming or like that video from Chris that I was talking about earlier. But when I was first starting out, I didn't know how to transition live energy to studio energy. So before I ever hit the booth, I would just do about 10 to 20 push-ups just to kind of get the blood flowing.
Yeah, just get
myself in that zone. Yeah, feel that adrenaline that I would feel live to get going through me. So that was always something I did. But now that I kind of just know how to tap into that on my own, I don't do that. I just kind of stick to my warm-ups now.
Yeah.
But the push-ups do help if anyone needs that blood flowing through them.
Do you have any tips for anybody as far as studio? Because it, like you said, it is vastly different. Like you get that adrenaline live, you get pumped up, but in the studio, it's just you and the microphone in a room, and there's not a lot of, energy. So, do you have any tips for vocal as far as studio time?
I would just say when you're in the booth, just kind of really ultimately just communicate with your producer because, you're going to be as good as your environment.
Yeah.
Like, make sure like, like, hey, this is how I do things. And, this is how I typically approach things. They'll get your levels right. Don't worry about how people talk about, oh, you need to only single track this or you need to double track this. They're going to do what's best that works for your voice. But just, making sure that you have that healthy communication so that way, like, you stay in good spirits. Just make sure you practice,
Yeah.
rehearsal, make sure that you have things the way that you want to do them, like, how you've rehearsed them, how you've played them. Start thinking of, effects or ideas that you want to be on your album. Because, like, if you have a general idea, it'll be easier for that communication. And it's also like, your vision's going to come to life.
Yeah. So as far as like writing lyrics, is it just solely you, or do you get lyrics from other band members? Do you kind of like collaborate with them, or do you kind of just do it all on your own and then like show them like, hey, this is what I got?
So I've written them all on my own. Okay. Ever since I joined, I just, I started off by writing Blackout, and they're just like, oh, this is pretty cool. And they're like, yeah, we trust you. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. But I'm still open to anyone who has any like vocal ideas or lyrics. So if someone says, hey, we should write a song about this, I'm like, okay, I can do that. Typically there might be other times where I have like helped people write songs and it'll give me an idea, stuff like that sometimes.
Hell yeah. So when you're in the studio, do you are you just a single line, like do like one line, or do you try to do like a couple lines, or maybe like a whole verse or a part, or how do you usually tackle it? Does it depend, or?
Typically verse by verse, just
make sure you
keep it easy. Yeah, nice and consistent. And then after that, like, there might be a part where I'm like, all right, I need to get this all in just one clean go to capture the energy.
Yeah.
But for the most part, verse by verse, make sure it's consistent, sounds good, and that, I can look back, reference, and say, all right, this makes sense to change to this, tonality, keep the vibe going with this, so that way it's not too just like, monotonous to listen to.
Hell yeah. Okay. So a little hybrid there. You do it. Because I know I've been in the studio. First time it was more like, all right, let's do line by line. And that was kind of like they just wanted one line at a time. Let's get it kind of perfect. Go to the next line. And the next time I was doing that, and they didn't stop. So I just kept going for most of the song. And they were like, why didn't you do that the whole time? I was like, well, I mean, that's not how I'm used to doing this, but okay. So then I guess we went and cleaned up stuff. And
right.
All right. So I wanted to ask, what was your vocal lyric approach to the songs following Codex Gigas? Like all the newer stuff. How did you approach it vocally? Throwing you a bit of a curveball.
Repeat that one more time because you were breaking up a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. What was your vocal lyrical approach following Codex Gigas, the release of that? So then the more recent songs since then.
So the more recent songs. So this with Codex, that one was a little bit weird because that album is just like a hodgepodge. Like, there was already 2 songs that were already recorded and out that I had to re-record. So like, the lyrics stayed the same on those, so I didn't touch any of those, and just went to town and just went to the first thing that popped in my head for those songs. But for this newer material, I kind of started going with an approach of keeping everything in one single idea, well, multiple ideas under the same roof. So, like, for example, for all this newer songs, everything has a more focused approach where I say, you know what, every topic is going to be based off of one thing. If anyone's listening, this is a little sneak preview, just a little something.
Uh-oh.
But this one is pretty much about all, yeah, it's like basically saying, no matter what you do, like in your life, if you fight for this, or you do this, or if you beat the narcissist in Umbra, for example, at the end of your lifespan, you still feel like that you're not ready to go. You still have so much more to do.
Okay.
So it's a bunch of different topics kind of revolving around that like you're always going to feel like, that you never did enough, or there's still so much more to do when it's time for you to leave this earth kind of deal.
Nice. Okay. So you guys are working on new stuff, I'm guessing? Divisive has some new music in the works?
Yeah, it's like, we've had to like slow down a little bit, just to get everything prepped up for tour and whatnot, but we still do have a couple more songs. Gonna have an announcement on that album as well, or an EP. Y'all don't know that yet for sure, but that information's definitely coming soon. Maybe some artwork that we'll put out there, but we've definitely got a lot of cool things coming. And we've also started writing another new set of songs and music already. So
you guys are workhorses.
We're going.
Dude, that's awesome.
Trying to be. Yeah.
So, Codex Gigas, specifically the song Gigas. What is that song about specifically? I have to know because I definitely was going through the lyrics. It's definitely some like Four Horsemen of Apocalypse kind of stuff and apocalyptic themes. Like what exactly were we talking about there?
No, yeah, it is about the Four Horsemen.
Nice.
So
nice.
it was funny because that was like one of the last songs, like one of the last set of songs that needed to be recorded, and I was kind of hitting the slump. I was like, all right, boys, what? It's like, where are we going from here? And Houston just goes, I want a song about the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and I was like, all right, let's get it. And I just walked away and just started writing.
Dude, that's
and
awesome.
I was like, let's go, let's run with it.
So there's another lyric I wanted to ask you about, and it comes from Legion, and
this
the
one's
line
good.
is awesome. I love it. So it's the only way to succeed is to suffer. So what is this?
All right.
Can you give me a little insight into this?
Repeat that one more time. You started.
I was just asking. Can you give me a little insight into that line, into that lyric?
Oh yeah. So this one's always the funniest one to me because this song is like a double whammy. When I had wrote that song, it's like the way that it was put together was I hated my job at the time. I was fed up with it, and that's where that line kind of came from. Was that the only way to succeed is to suffer? You gotta go through all the bullshit in order to move up through the ranks or impress your peers and all that type of shit. But where the idea like kind of came from was that like even after like your life at work, like you should still wake up, live to pursue the life that you want. That you shouldn't let like your line of work that you hate like tear you down. And I know that there's a lot of people that probably feel that way, that work is their life and stuff like that. And that's where the Legion part comes. A legion of people feel the same exact way, eating the shit sandwich or whatnot. It's like, it's basically that, but deep down at its core, it was pretty much that my boss just had a very punchable face at the time too.
Oh, fair enough. Hey, a lot of people can relate to that for sure. Okay, so
oh yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, you're fine.
Do you feel after Codex Gigas, you are able to make it more your own as far as like the vocals and Divisive and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I definitely feel that way now because like I was thrown into the mix with Divisive, and it was like, all right, here's the songs available, go for it.
How much so Codex Gigas was wrote when you joined?
All the music was done. The old vocalist Johnny had already recorded Bale, and he had recorded MK Ultra.
Okay.
So those just needed to be re-recorded, and the rest was just like, all right, write some topics, let's go to town. But now I think I'm finally in my own because I was trying to keep something similar to how Johnny did things because that was the Divisive that, people were used to.
Right.
I still wanted to do a little my own thing, but also make sure that it wasn't losing the spark that brought people in the first place.
Yeah, makes sense.
As for these next couple of releases, I will go ahead and say that there are 0 guest features. I wanted people to understand that, like, this is Divisive front to back. Like, people can't say, oh, like, they're leaning in on a guest feature to make the song pop off or anything like that. It's just like front to back Divisive, like music Divisive, vocals Divisive, lyrics Divisive, just front to back. You get to hear the band for what it is now.
Hell yeah.
Well, with this lineup.
I'm excited. So what when do we have the announcement about the other project, the top secret metalcore goodies? Do we have any announcements coming up on that, and when we get to hear you doing your thing?
That I'm not entirely too sure just yet. All the songs are done on that. I think it might be a matter of looking into artwork. What I can reveal about that is that it is mainly me and Columbus's thing, our guitar player. So I'll probably have to talk to him and just be like, hey, like, when do you want to start getting this, when do you want to start pushing out these songs? Because they're cool songs. They're really cool songs.
Hell yeah.
But once I know, you'll definitely know. We'll definitely be making some really cool announcements about it when I figure that out.
I'm excited to hear it. That's gonna be awesome. Those that were listening, apologies about the alert that wasn't supposed to go off that still went off. I don't know why that happened, but streaming life.
Oh.
Yep. Okay, so I know I've taken up a lot of your time, so I just have a little bit left for you. So new vocalist, someone wanting to get into vocals and stuff. What kind of suggestions or advice could you give them for picking up the mic and just going for the first time, or trying to tackle that, or playing with a band, or anything? Is there any advice you can give them?
Don't give in to the self-doubt. And it's because it's going to not be your favorite thing. Don't give up on it, because I can't even begin to tell you how many times I was shit on because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, or people were just like, yo, unalive yourself, dog. This shit is
Yeah.
Ignore that. Ignore all that. Like, you know what you came to do. You know what you came to build up yourself to do. Just keep going. Don't get discouraged, because it is trial and error. But once you find something, you will find something, and you'll be like, all right, this is me as a vocalist. It's okay to try to emulate another vocalist in the beginning. I know a lot of people will say that, don't try and sound like anybody else. It just have something as a template.
Yeah.
So you can kind of try and get inside their head of how they got to where they need to be, and then revert back to saying, okay, now that I've kind of gotten a grasp on things, what will make me stand out? Just go for it, because people are going to shit on you. You might as well just keep going until those people who are shitting on you are finally saying, good job.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have critics. It's going to happen. You're not going to please everybody. Somebody's got something to say, especially starting off. There's, like you said, there's a ton of trial and error. You're going to fuck up a lot. It's going to happen. I mean,
yep.
Nobody starts off just awesome, like right out of the gate, unless you're some crazy prodigy that we haven't heard yet that never did vocals and decides, oh, I'm going to scream and can do all the ranges flawlessly. All right, well, I appreciate your time very much. Where can everybody find you? Please plug all the stuff, tour dates, releases, anything you want to plug. This is your platform. Let us all know about it.
Hell yeah. Let's see. Man, if y'all have not checked out Umbra, you can find it on our YouTube channel, which is also Divisive TN. You can same with our Instagram as well. TikTok, it's all Divisive TN. Follow you boys on Spotify, because Spotify really does help bands. It's like pretty much our resume of what we can draw and where we want to play. So yeah, check out those tour dates between June 14th all the way to the 25th of June as well, with Waste and Exit Wounds. If we are in your area, please come out. We would love to meet you. Everyone says that we are an approachable deathcore band. We will hang out and we will talk with you. So if you are in the area, please come and hang out. Seriously, we would love it.
Hell yeah. Dude, I appreciate your time very, very much. I got to get up to Nashville and watch you guys soon. Maybe me and TJ can go up there, and
sure,
you and TJ's bromance can flourish more.
Hey, I mean, we're playing the end, I think, on the 16th on this run. I want to say it's the 16th. So
nice.
If you boys are free, you know where to find us.
All right. Sounds good, man. Well, I appreciate your time very much. Thank you for being the second guest. You're a legend. The album Umbra and stuff is awesome. I can't wait to hear the metalcore as well as the new unreleased Divisive.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
And dude, keep being awesome. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely.
Take care.
You too, man. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Behind the Vocals featuring Nick Cross of Divisive. Super heavy band. So sick. Links down below. Go check them and Nick out. Go see what they're about. If you want to mosh, if you want to throw down, listen to this band. Seriously, go check them out. Tour dates and stuff coming up. Go to a show. Check them out on Spotify. All the links will be down below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys and gals next week.